In this lecture, we'll be discussing equine diet supplements and how they can be best used in clinical practice. The goals of this lecture will be to review the current industry regulations for animal diet supplements, to discuss organic mineral supplements. We'll then talk about the use of botanic diet supplements in equine rations, and finally we'll end discussing a protocol on how to select a diet supplement for an equine patient. Beginning with the regulation of equine diet supplements, the Center for Veterinary Medicine within the FDA works to regulate animal feeds on a national level, and they're responsible for enforcing the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act that's designed to ensure that animal foods are safe based on some very strict limits on what can actually be included in an animal feed. AFCO, or the Association of American Feed Control Officials, is responsible for enforcing laws that regulate the production, distribution, labeling, and sale of animal feeds at the state level. There are a certain number of things that are actually allowable in animal feeds, and that would first include foods, and that would be an ingredient that provides a nutritive value or taste or aroma. Food additives, which are substances that then become a component of the food. They may change the characteristic of the food during packaging or processing. And finally, there are substances that are considered GRAS or generally recognized as safe. And these would include ingredients like vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that, when included in reasonable amounts, are safe and not toxic. Natural plant substances are also considered GRAS if they are used to provide flavor, but only if they're used to provide flavor, not for any therapeutic function. And certain plant substances that can be used for flavoring would include things like licorice, cinnamon, or garlic. One important thing to remember is that any natural or botanic substance that is actually added to an animal food cannot be used to treat, cure, mitigate, or prevent any disease. The human supplement industry is regulated quite differently from the animal supplement industry. Horses are included as a classification as food animals, and so they are regulated similar to livestock species. For human supplements, DSHEA, or the Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act, passed in 1994, does allow for general health claims for human food supplements. But the important thing to remember here is that the allowable claims under DSHEA do not apply to animal feeds. So again, the important thing to remember when reviewing a supplement for animals is that they cannot make any claim to diagnose, cure, mitigate, prevent, or treat a disease. Your role as a veterinarian is to evaluate any products to ensure that these claims are not made, which could be misleading to the client. Sometimes you'll find that there are no claims on a product label, but then when you look at the product website or any literature on the product, then claims will be made. Any animal supplement that does make a health claim would be considered as a drug by the FDA. And then as a drug, the ingredient or the component would need to go through the new animal drug application process like any other therapeutic agent, like a pharmaceutical agent or a vaccine. And there are no supplement companies that are going to really go to that length. Enforcement of proper labeling and false product claims is limited by the FDA, so many products may not comply. And that makes your role very important as a veterinarian. You need to look at the supplements that are being used and recognize any supplements that are marketed as drugs based on health claims. And most importantly, review individual diet supplements to ensure their safety before they're used. You'll find if you review the literature that's currently available for equine diet supplements, or even ingredients that are in most equine diet supplements, there's very little research work that has been shown to show either safety or efficacy. And so again, as a veterinarian, you need to try and ensure that products are safe for your patients. First, efficacy is always of secondary importance. Next, we'll talk about organic minerals and how they're used in equine ration building. An organic mineral is a mineral that's complex to an organic substance, like an amino acid, a hydrolyzed protein. They may be complex to propionic acid or a polysaccharide. Organic mineral complexes are specifically defined by AFCO in the book that they put out yearly, and they are permitted as an additive to animal feeds. There's a thought that organic trace minerals may have a higher bioavailability than inorganic mineral complexes, like a carbonate, oxide, sulfate, or chloride source, and that's why they have been reviewed, researched, and then included in many equine feeds. The bioavailability of organic mineral complex is affected by the ligand and the bond, and larger ligands that have covalent bonding do provide more stability and tend to be more bioavailable. Most of the research done on organic mineral complexes in equine nutrition has looked at the bioavailability of trace minerals, mainly zinc, copper, and manganese. There are very few studies that have looked at organic macromineral complexes. One study that was done found no difference in the bioavailability when a calcium amino acid proteinate was fed to yearling quarter horses compared to calcium carbonate. The next set of slides will look at the research that has been done on our organic trace mineral ingredients, and we'll see about the bioavailability. Increased trace mineral bioavailability has been seen in a few studies. The first study, we had serum zinc and copper that was measured higher in foals that were born to mares that consumed a combination of organic and protein chelated minerals compared to mares that only consumed inorganic minerals. And in this particular study, the mineral compound that was fed that had both organic and inorganic minerals in it was a 50-50 blend. So you either had a blend of 50-50 organic inorganic minerals compared to inorganic alone, and then the results were as mentioned. There was no change in the mare's serum trace mineral concentration in that particular study. Another study evaluated copper, manganese, and zinc proteinate that was fed to yearlings compared to inorganic minerals. Increased hoof growth and increased hip height were measured in the proteinate supplemented yearlings, but there were no differences measured in the body weight, wither height, heart girth, or body length gains between the two groups. Increased trace mineral bioavailability was seen in yet another study where hoof wall hardness and copper concentration decreased more in weanlings that were fed inorganic copper, manganese, and zinc compared to weanlings fed an amino acid chelate of copper, manganese, and zinc. Although the hardness and copper concentration was affected, there was no effect on hoof wall tensile strength or hoof wall zinc concentration when the organic minerals were fed. Manganese was not measurable in the hoof wall in this study. There were some studies that didn't find any effect on trace mineral bioavailability. Listed here, this first study had mares that were treated with a 50% amino acid chelate of copper, manganese, and zinc, compared to mares that were treated with inorganic copper, manganese, and zinc. This study found no difference in hoof wall growth rate, hardness, tensile strength, or trace mineral content with the organic minerals. No increase in hepatic copper, manganese, or zinc was also noted with the organic minerals. And finally, there was no change in the cellular immune response when the organic minerals were included in the ration. In a second study, mares treated with 50% amino acid chelate of copper, manganese, and zinc did not have elevated liver concentrations of these minerals, and they had no changes in their cellular immune response compared to mares that were fed inorganic minerals. One study has evaluated organic minerals in miniature horses. That's listed as 3 on the bottom of the slide. And there was no difference noted in the absorption or retention of copper, manganese, or zinc proteinate compared to either inorganic oxide forms or sulfate forms in adult miniature horses. One study has found that there's actually a decrease in trace mineral bioavailability, with lower copper digestibility and lower zinc balance in adult horses fed minerals that had 45% of the copper and zinc in an organic form compared to a complete inorganic source of copper and zinc. And these again were adult horses, not foals. One area where definite improvements in bioavailability have been measured in organic mineral complexes is in the area of selenium yeast. Selenium yeast is an allowable ingredient in large animal feeds. The FDA does allow that. It contains selenomethionine and selenocysteine. These yeast forms are absorbed through amino acid transporters in the small intestine. And there have been a number of studies that have evaluated selenium yeast bioavailability in a number of species, included swine, other ruminants, and horses. One study done in horses found improved digestibility and retention of selenium with selenium yeast compared to inorganic selenium as selenite. Another study found that selenium methionine increased plasma selenium after 28 days, but not after 56 days, compared to supplementing with sodium selenite, and these were in 18-month-old horses. The FDA does restrict the amount of selenium that can be added to an animal feed, and it's not to exceed 0.3 parts per million. And again, that would be in an actual feed, not in a diet supplement. After talking with practitioners, I have heard a number of them say that they have placed horses on what appears to be an appropriate concentration of selenium yeast, and their patients have actually developed high blood selenium levels just being on selenium yeast. And so it could be that there are certain horses where the bioavailability of selenium yeast is so high that certain horses could get into a toxic level of selenium. It would be important for any patient where you're supplementing with selenium, especially if it's selenium yeast, to occasionally monitor the whole blood selenium of the horse to ensure that it's not getting too elevated. So our summary of organic minerals is that in young growing horses, organic trace mineral chelates may have a higher bioavailability than inorganic trace minerals. The bioavailability of organic trace minerals may be lower in adult horses compared to inorganic trace minerals. The current evidence really isn't strong enough to require organic chelate supplementation in equine feeds, and you'll note on the feed tag labels of most commercial products, oftentimes they'll have a combination of both organic and inorganic mineral forms. Organic forms tend to be a little bit more expensive than the inorganic forms. And finally, selenium yeast may have a better bioavailability in the horse compared to inorganic selenium. We'll next focus our discussion on botanic diet supplements. Recently, there's been a large growth in a nature-based approach to preventative and therapeutic medicine, not only in humans and small animals, but also in horses. And subsequently, the equine diet industry has seen a great expansion of the herbal diet supplement market. Remembering back to the start of this lecture, we mentioned that FDA regulations do allow herbs and other natural ingredients to be added to an equine feed for a flavoring effect, but the concentration of many botanical ingredients that are necessary to achieve a potential desired therapeutic effect would be higher than just for flavoring, and that would not be allowed by the FDA. It's extremely important that the safety of all botanic supplements be established before they're used as in an equine ration. Efficacy may or may not be able to be determined, but safety needs to be established. Botanic diet supplements can be sold as individual botanicals, or they may be included in a blended mixture of different ingredients. Sometimes they're added to a vitamin, mineral, or basic other supplement, and sometimes they may be added as ingredients to commercial equine feeds. Again, usually when they're in commercial equine feeds, if a company is following the FDA regulations, they would only be included for a flavoring effect. There are a wide variety of different compounds that are available and marketed to manage different disease conditions. And remember, your clients will oftentimes be searching the internet and different products in order to try and find something to help manage a disease condition in their own horse. An important point to remember is that there currently are no regulations to control the concentration or purity of the chemical compounds in the botanic ingredients. And that goes for human botanical ingredients as well as animal products. You may not know where the source is obtained. You may not know how things are grown and harvested, if there were chemicals used in the growth process or in the extraction process. You may not know the concentration of any chemicals within the different botanic ingredients. And in some cases where you have a blended mixture, let's say a liver health product or a renal health product, you may have 15 or 20 or more botanic ingredients within one product. And so trying to find exactly what has been done to process each of those individual ingredients within a product is very difficult and really not done. This is where safety again becomes a really important factor when you're trying to manage your equine patients. Alternative therapy veterinarians and veterinary nutritionists that are familiar with herbal supplements can be a resource of information if you choose to use botanic supplements in your equine cases. It's important to review some basic guidelines for general use of botanic diet supplements. And as always, we want to start by reviewing the medical and diet history for the horse. Next, it's important to talk to the owner about why they want to use the supplement. Is there a medical reason to use it? Is the horse sick for some reason? Has the owner found a product that they think might benefit the animal? Is the product contraindicated in the horse? Any botanical product should be used with great caution during pregnancy, lactation, and growth, and I recommend no use of a botanic product during these life stages. If you look at the human monographs for different botanic ingredients, they across the board will say do not use in pregnant or lactating women or young growing children. If you do recommend use in any life stage, then you could potentially be liable if the animal had trouble and you couldn't prove that the botanic ingredient was indeed safe. It's also important to determine whether or not the horse has a systemic disease. Horses with hepatic disease may have a slower metabolism of certain chemical compounds that are in the botanical ingredients. Horses with chronic colic may show repeated colic when they're treated with botanic compounds. And so in those particular cases, it's probably best to take the botanic ingredient out of the ration, see if you can stabilize the horse, and then gradually try and introduce a supplement back into the ration if the owner is insistent that it be used, or if you believe that there's a therapeutic benefit. Another important thing to do is to check for any product for nutrient-drug interactions. That tends to be extremely important, especially for small animals where there are a variety of different pharmaceutical agents being used, whether they be for cardiac disease, to regulate blood pressure, renal medications. In horses, we may not use quite the same variety of pharmaceutical agents that are used in other animal species, but you do always need to check for nutrient-drug interactions. You need to review any labels to ensure there are no toxic compounds like pyrrolizidine alkaloids. Some toxic ingredients do end up in equine supplements. And finally, you should check to make sure or check to see if there's any published information about the safety and or efficacy of the botanical product. It's quite rare to actually have published information, but there is a little bit out there. In the equine species for garlic, one paper found that freeze-dried garlic fed at greater than 0.4 grams per day resulted in decreased red blood cell count and signs of Heinz body anemia in the horses. In another study, ginger was evaluated, and a single dose that was given before exercise resulted in a decreased recovery time, but the horses had increased TNF alpha and interferon gamma, which are inflammatory mediators. Recently, milk thistle has been evaluated. Milk thistle is also known as silymarin, and it's used for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties in liver disease. It's been looked at fairly extensively in dogs, and some recent studies that came out of Colorado State evaluated milk thistle in horses as far as the pharmacodynamics of it, and found that it tends to be safe in healthy horses at certain doses, and you can review those papers if you would like. Use of botanic supplements in an equine athlete can present a problem because many botanical products will actually result in a positive drug test. Products that will cause a positive drug test would include valerian, devil's claw, lavender, comfrey, cayenne, and chamomile. Currently, the FEI and USCF rules do not list all potential botanical substances that may result in a positive drug test. We also, as veterinarians, do not know what safe withdrawal times are for botanic ingredients. However, the burden of ensuring that a horse does not get a positive drug test does fall on the client as well as the veterinarian. So if you do have an equine athlete that is being managed with some botanical ingredients, you need to talk to the client and try and determine what a safe withdrawal time is. A 2-week period may be reasonable. But again, there aren't studies that will actually show that with the current level of testing of urine or blood samples, that a particular chemical compound from a botanic ingredient wouldn't show up as a positive within the blood. What are some contraindications for use of botanic diet and supplements? Certainly mares that are either pregnant or lactating. There's no data available on the safety of botanical supplements either for horses or humans. Some herbs may actually increase the potential for abortion, and any of these ingredients should not be fed to a pregnant mare. Uterine stimulants would include black cohosh, turmeric, yellow, rosemary, and burdock. Teratogens would include comfrey, and sage and fenugreek are abortifacients. Currently, there is no data on the transmission of botanic compounds in milk. and no safety or efficacy data for the use of botanic ingredients in growing foals. So you do need to use any botanic ingredients with great caution in not only pregnant or lactating mares, but also in young growing foals. Other contraindications for use may be horses that are treated with pharmaceutical therapy. Again, you must ensure that there are no nutrient-drug interactions. And to do that, probably the easiest thing to do is review monographs published for human use, because currently there really are no equine-specific information that has been published. Certain immunosuppressive therapy may be antagonized by botanical immunostimulants like Echinacea and Astragalus. Nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drug toxicity may be enhanced by botanical diuretics like juniper, dandelion, and reversi. Again, it's very important that you look at the label of any equine diet supplement, and if you're concerned that there may be an ingredient that interacts with a pharmaceutical agent that the horse is being treated with, you need to do some research. Web-based research using drugs.com or WebMD sometimes can provide some information, again from humans, but if there's an interaction in one species, I think that's enough information that should provide you with concern about continuing to use that product in your equine patients. There are a variety of reference sources that are available. This is in your notes. Books would include Veterinary Herbal Medicine by Wynne and Fugere, Mosby's Handbook of Herbs and Natural Supplements, that's human-based, but again, many of the ingredients that you'll find used in equine supplements are the same that are used in human supplements. There's also a PDR for herbal medicines that you can purchase if you're interested. There are some internet-based resources. The International Bibliographic Information on Dietary Supplements is a free database that you can use. There's also information from the National Institute of Health Office of Dietary Supplements. And then there are some other resources that do require payment in order to have access to the information. Those would be Consumer Lab and Quackwatch. Consumer Lab is actually quite helpful. They do independent reviews and analyses of a variety of supplements. They're mostly human supplements, but especially if you are interested in using products or you're interested in looking at products potentially for your small animal patients or your own pets, they do a lot of research. They not only look at general vitamins and minerals, but they look at a variety of other products like green tea, omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil, a whole variety of different products. We'll finish up the lecture by discussing how to develop a diet supplement program for horses at different life stages. Although there are a lot of reasons to use diet supplements with caution, there are also many reasons that we can find that are good and that will encourage us to use diet supplements in our equine patients. One of the best reasons is to ensure that the horse's ration is balanced. Remember that prolonged storage of hay decreases the activity of fat-soluble vitamins like A and E. And there are also mineral deficiencies that exist in certain regions of the country. And so if you provide a basic vitamin and mineral supplement to a horse, you help to offset any deficiencies that may be present in the forage that they're consuming. Diet supplements can help to improve the nutrition of performance horses by providing essential nutrients in the ration. And there are a variety of joint supplements that can be used in order to help preserve joint health for horses over their career as equine athletes. Supplements can improve the nutrition of horses during different life stages, including pregnancy, lactation, and growth. Certain ingredients can help to enhance the function of the immune system. That would be through use of omega-3 fatty acids, as well as antioxidants and amino acids. And finally, we can help to promote gastrointestinal health through the use of prebiotics and probiotics. Choosing the right supplement can be challenging. There are certainly a variety of influences on dietary supplement use, and for your clients, they may be bombarded with a variety of different marketing ploys, whether they be through the internet or through print. Clients may have recommendations from friends, maybe the feed store owner or their trainer. In many cases, the choice of a supplement by a client will be made randomly, and it's very easy for a client to add many different supplements to their horse's ration, and they may double up on certain nutrients like fat-soluble vitamins or selenium and can actually result in some toxicity for their horse, even though the client is just well-intentioned in trying to ensure the best health of their horse possible. Your role in evaluating the ration of a horse, especially when you're looking at supplements, are to look at the individual horse and guide the owner to products that are appropriate for that animal. We'll discuss how to use a rational stepwise approach to prescribing compounds. And finally, our primary goal is to ensure the safety of the horse during supplement use. The stepwise approach to evaluating a horse and choosing a supplement is fairly simple. As always, we want to evaluate the health of the horse to begin. What is its life stage and athletic activity? We'll do a physical exam and get a medical history on the animal. We'll then thoroughly evaluate the ration by getting a diet history and finding out what the horse is currently eating. You want to note if the horse is eating pasture or hay. Are they being fed any grain or commercial feeds or supplements? Remember, there can be a regional variation in feed quality and nutrient content, and in some cases having a forage analysis will help you identify nutrient deficiencies. And finally, we'll decide if supplements are necessary. We want to make sure that essential nutrients are always provided to meet requirements. If we have our equine athletes, we may be able to help them and optimize their performance, but we also want to ensure that they are not developing any or not being fed any products that could result in a positive drug test. We can help to enhance organ system health in some cases, and then finally, you'll want to evaluate the life stage of the horse and determine if the ration meets all of the horse's nutrient requirements. You'll also want to determine if products should not be used based on a current life stage. What is the athletic activity of the horse, and can their natural athletic ability be enhanced with a diet supplement, like an antioxidant or an omega-3 fatty acid? Equine athletes do need appropriate concentrations of electrolytes in the ration, and sometimes adding an electrolyte supplement can be beneficial, especially if the horse is working in a hot, humid environment. Remember that certain herbal products may result in a positive drug test, so you may want to limit some of the ingredients that are being fed to equine athletes. Does the horse have a prior medical illness? If so, are the supplements necessary to improve the horse's health? Are there any nutrient-drug interactions that may be present if the horse is being treated with a pharmaceutical agent? And finally, is there any contraindication to using a particular product, like the horse having chronic colic or hepatic disease? You want to look at the horse's diet history, very important part of the evaluation process. Has the horse had any recent feed changes? If so, has the horse maintained, gained, or lost any weight on the current ration? Might their health be improved by the addition of a supplement? If the horse has access to pasture, you want to know what type of pasture is being consumed, how long the horse is out on pasture daily, and whether or not a pasture analysis is available. If the horse is eating hay, what type of hay are they eating and how much are they consuming daily? Is a hay analysis available? If it is, it's very easy to identify nutrient deficiencies if you know the volume of hay that the horse is consuming daily. If you suspect a nutrient deficiency but an analysis is not available, then the hay should be analyzed. And equianalytical laboratories can provide an analysis that gives a wide variety of nutrients. It's called the Equitech analysis, and it's about $30, so it's a very cost-effective way for a client to help identify any nutrient deficiencies that may be present in a ration. If the horse is fed any grain, supplemental commercial feeds, or byproduct feeds, they may actually be already receiving additional vitamins and minerals. Remember, most commercial feeds will have supplemental minerals as well as vitamins, and so additional supplements may not be necessary for that particular animal. If the horse is being fed any supplements currently, what are they being fed and how much is being used? I think it's appropriate to ask a client why they're using a supplement if it is not one that you have recommended. It's good to know if the owner's noticed any beneficial effects of the supplement or negative effects while the horse has been treated. If the horse has a history of chronic colic, my advice is to stop all supplementation to see if the colic resolves. If it does, then you will gradually want to add supplements back to the ration, starting with a very basic vitamin and mineral product, and then one by one adding new ingredients or products in to ensure that the horse can tolerate the new additions. Types of supplements. The first would be basic vitamin and mineral products, and these are considered GRAS and are recognized by the FDA as animal feed additives. They would include things like inorganic or organic minerals, like calcium carbonate, dicalcium phosphate, and sodium chloride. They would include ration ingredients like a salt or trace mineral blocks, as well as selenium yeast. Basic vitamins would be like vitamin E, which can be fed as a capsule or a powder or a liquid, vitamin C, and biotin can all be fed as single ingredients. Within the vitamin and mineral product group, we also have commercial vitamin and mineral products that are blended products. That would include Nature's Essentials Free Balance from Purina Mills, as well as Equine Plus, which is produced by Vitamix. Now, these are just basic vitamin and mineral products. They usually come in a granular form and are fed at anywhere from 1 to 2 ounces per day usually. They don't contain supplemental protein or fat or anything else. They're just basic granular supplements. Next, you have some products that are commercial that may contain supplemental protein, as well as vitamins and minerals. Feeds that have the 30 number by them would indicate that they have 30% protein, like Triple Crown 30, TDI 30, M30, which is a Macaulay's feed, and Nature's Essentials Enriched Plus by Purina Mills. These products are designed to be fed in fairly small volumes and added to a forage-based ration. You may feed 1.5 to 2 pounds to an adult horse per day to not only augment and supplement the protein in the ration, but to also provide essential vitamins and minerals to meet requirements. Other types of supplements would include organ-specific products that do not contain herbs. Some compounds may be recognized as approved additives to animal feeds, but others are not approved by the FDA or AAFCO. Joint supplements, which you're probably familiar with, would include ingredients like glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate, hyaluronic acid, as well as MSM. Intestinal supplements would include yeast products, pre and probiotics, and smectite. There are a variety of hoof supplements available, and metabolic products that would contain chromium and magnesium. Finally, there are supplements that contain herbs, botanical products, or other chemical compounds. And as we discussed earlier, these are not approved as feed additives by the FDA. Many are marketed for specific organ systems, including metabolic, calming, immune products. There are digestive products, ulcer prevention products, as well as skin and coat products. If there's an organ system that could have a disease, there's usually a product that's been designed to help treat and manage the disease. Always remember with botanical ingredients that safety and efficacy studies have likely not been performed on most of these products, not in horses and also not in other species. You need to carefully scrutinize the ingredient list and then use caution when selecting any of these products for use in pregnant or lactating mares, growing foals, and equine athletes. We'll finish off the lecture by discussing some basic supplement guidelines for different horses at different life stages, and we'll begin by looking at healthy horses at maintenance or minimal work. These horses are likely on a forage-based ration, and I recommend that they be fed a basic vitamin and mineral supplement to ensure that all their nutrient needs are being met. If a hay or pasture analysis has been done, then you can choose singular ingredients and nutrients to add to the ration to balance it. Otherwise, a basic vitamin and mineral product can be added safely. Antioxidants can be beneficial at any life stage. Selenium needs to always be used with caution, but vitamin E is very safe, and that's one that you could easily add to a ration. And finally, other supplements that may improve the health of the horse could be considered. Next, we have our healthy senior age horses that are greater than 20 years. In those horses, a basic vitamin and mineral supplement should be added to the ration because the bioavailability of some minerals is actually reduced in older horses. Antioxidants like vitamin E may provide some protection to our senior horses as they have oxidative damage ongoing. Protein supplementation may be beneficial if the horse does not have renal or hepatic disease. And finally, other supplements that may improve health can also be considered. For our equine athletes, horses that are working at a moderate to very heavy level, A basic vitamin and mineral supplement can be used if the horse isn't getting supplemental vitamins and minerals from another source. These athletes will have oxidative damage ongoing in their body, and so something like vitamin E as an antioxidant could be beneficial. A lot of clients like to use joint supplements in their athletes. The bioavailability of orally consumed joint support ingredients is fairly low, but on the other hand, most of the ingredients in joint supplements are fairly safe. And so if a client wants to use it, in many cases it's something that should be safe to add, but you have to review the ingredient label first. You can consider using flax oil or flax-based product to increase the concentration of omega-3 fatty acids in the ration. There are many performance-enhancing supplements that are marketed, and currently there's really minimal to no evidence to show efficacy of those particular products. And as always, you want to use caution with any herbal ingredients that could result in a positive drug test. For healthy brood mares, during breeding season in months 0 to 5 of pregnancy, we manage them like a healthy horse at maintenance. And using a basic vitamin and mineral supplement will help to ensure that all of their nutrient needs are being met. Our pregnant mares that are between months 5 to 11 of pregnancy, we can consider adding a product to the ration to provide additional energy and protein. We'll also want to consider the use of supplemental vitamin E, because mares in the last trimester that have added vitamin E in their ration have higher levels of IgG, IgM, and IgA in their colostrum, and that translates to better foal immunity. You also want to limit or omit herbal supplements from the ration in a broodmare. Healthy stallions, we can add a basic vitamin and mineral supplement to their ration. We want to consider antioxidant supplementation to promote sperm health. And finally, carnitine can be used in stallions that have low progressive motility. It may actually be beneficial. When we have a horse with a systemic illness, we do need to be cautious with our supplementation use. Basic vitamins and minerals are usually safe, but we always want to make sure that whatever product we're using does not result in excessive mineral or vitamin content in the whole ration. We want to limit calcium in horses that have chronic renal failure and that are also hypercalcemic. And obviously we want to limit potassium in horses that have HYPP. So with any animal that has some health issue, you'll want to really take a close look at the ration and any supplements that are being added to make sure that the concentration of individual nutrients is safe. We'll want to use great caution when selecting any organ-specific supplement. Again, this is something your client may do without your knowledge, and may come in later and find that they've been adding a particular product, so you'll want to look at the label and see about the safety of the product. We'll want to limit the use of herbal supplements in horses that have hepatic disease and recurrent colic, and always check for any nutrient-drug interactions before you start therapy with a supplement in a horse with a systemic disease. This is a very busy slide. This information is provided in the lecture notes, but there are some basic questions we want to ask before we start supplement therapy. The first and one of the most important is, what are the ingredients in the supplement? When I take a look, make sure there's nothing that looks toxic, nothing that could be harmful to the animal. Next, we want to check if the supplement contains the label concentration of active ingredients. This is going to be very difficult to do unless the supplement has been evaluated by an independent third party. In many cases, as a clinician, you'll select products that are produced by a company that you trust. You'll build a relationship with that company, and hopefully that particular company will be doing their own internal evaluation of their products to ensure that what they are packaging and sending out to the clients is actually what the label says they are doing. You want to check the ingredients to make sure there are no toxic ingredients within the product. Next, you'll want to check to see if there's any research available to support the use of the supplement. Check to see if there's research in horses first. Rarely there is. If not, you want to look for any other animals. Have the ingredients been checked in any other animal species to see if you can extrapolate that back to your equine patients. Next, is there any contraindication for use of the supplement based on the horse's medical condition? It's also important to note whether or not the horse is scheduled for a surgical procedure. There are certain ingredients that may affect clotting and blood pressure. Those particular ingredients and those products that contain those ingredients should be discontinued before surgery. And I'd also add that they should be discontinued if you have a pregnant mare They should be discontinued before she foals, just to ensure or help ensure that she clots properly after she foals. Lastly, you can check to see if the supplement is manufactured by a company that has been evaluated by the National Animal Supplement Council, or NASC. The NASC is a self-governing association of supplement manufacturers. They help to ensure that standards are met when a product is produced. There are certain protocols that have to be followed. There are certain cleanliness guidelines, purity guidelines that have to be evaluated. And finding a supplement that has the NASC label may be the best thing you can do to try and ensure that a product is actually safe. Because the way the supplement industry works, especially with internet sales as they are in our current year, 2016, you may find that anybody can make a supplement, package it, and sell it. And so you want to try to ensure safety for all of your equine patients. And finally, when you're choosing a supplement, you want to absolutely make sure that the horse isn't being excessively supplemented with any ingredients. That can easily occur when too many products are fed, especially if a client decides to select a variety of supplements on their own, and then the horse is getting other nutrients in the hay and commercial feeds as well. Excessive supplementation can also occur if a horse cannot metabolize the compounds in a supplement. In any equine feeding program, you always want to watch the selenium concentration in the total ration, noting that selenium must not exceed 2 milligrams of selenium per kilogram of total dietary dry matter. Remember, selenium yeast has a higher bioavailability in many horses, and horses that are supplemented with selenium yeast may be at a slightly increased risk of having elevated blood selenium. Is a supplement really necessary for the horse? If not, it's probably a good idea to eliminate the product. I would always rather have the client spend their money on feeding good quality forage and an appropriate commercial feed or appropriate basic vitamin and mineral supplement to their horse rather than spending hundreds of dollars on a supplement that may or may not be safe or efficacious. If a client is insistent that they try a particular product on their horse, then usually what I'll do is give them a trial period and ask them to try and evaluate whether or not the horse has improved over 2 to 3 months. If not, then it's probably worthwhile discontinuing the supplement. If the owner has noted an improvement, and if the horse hasn't had any complications from the product, then they can continue to feed it.